Well, I'm finishing up this air system. This is part three. Was this a good idea? Yeah, questionable. So stay tuned and I'll run through what's going on with it and where I'm at with it. So we finished up the system, and there's a few things I'll let you know about this system. Uh, it was a bargain for me at a auction. A warehouse that had been built had a full air system in it for some reason or another. Don't know why, but they took the system out and they put it on the auction site, and of course nobody was bidding on it, so I bid on it. There were 8 20-foot pieces of 1-inch Prevost airline. I paid $40 for it, and there were a couple of little bitty ones and some assorted fittings and all that kind of thing. So I put the system in. I'm like, oh, there's enough here to do everything. And when I got about halfway done, I realized that no, there isn't everything that I need to do in my garage. If it was a one and done thing, that'd be great, but it wasn't. It came with a bunch of fittings, which is great. The Prevost fittings are really good at sealing and all that kind of thing. The old ones are plastic. The new ones I ordered are made of aluminum and have really good seals in them. Do oil your seals, because if you don't, they will leak. So ran into that right off the bat when the new ones came in, and I just threw them on. But the system came with reducers for the air fittings. So you got 3/8 air fittings. They used a piece of a steel reducer. As anyone knows, steel reducers or air compression systems create water. Heat creates water. When you compress air, it heats up and it creates water. And so what you get is a rusty reducer. One of these was already on the line, so I didn't even touch it. It already had this air fitting on it and everything. So I didn't really mess with it, and it leaked. Not a lot, just a little bit. But the really concerning part is when you look inside of it. Hopefully you guys can see this. I'll try to do the light a different way here so that it doesn't blind you and gets in there enough so you can see it. But I don't know how well you can see that, but there's rust in there. So whoever was piping this through their system was pumping rust into everything. If I take my finger, wipe it, that kind of shows you there's a lot of rust there. So these fittings, not a good idea. Don't mix steel and air or compressed air, because you're going to get rust. That's just the nature of the beast. So for whatever years they've been running this system like this, they're putting rust right into their tools. If it was tools or whatever they were using, they were putting rust in it. They were cleaning stuff with it, they're putting rust in it. And that's just steel and air compressors are not a good mix. That's why in most shops you'll see copper lines, and now you see the new Plex lines and that kind of thing, is because these things don't rust. Proper air tools and proper air tool fittings and all that stuff are made of either stainless or aluminum or something that just doesn't rust. So you don't want to mix metal in there. So that's problem number one. So I had to replace all of those fittings. When I ran my airlines, as you see, I had to stop when I came down and went to a T because I ran out of fittings. I bought more fittings so I could finish the job. Those fittings, there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, $95. So now that $50 system, we're just roughing it. I just added another $90 plus tax, so it's $100. So now I'm at $150. I haven't got it up yet. So that's my cost so far. Now, to remove all that steel and replace it with either copper or brass, I had to go with brass because I needed reduction. And copper, you can get reduction by, I could have soldered together, this, that, or the other thing and made it work. But I already had a bunch of brass fittings that I could use. So I probably built half of it out of what I had laying around the shop or laying around in my in my air compressor stuff. But I had to buy the big ones, and these big ones, the reducers, will only reduce, or the ones I bought only reduce to 1/2 inch. And the reason I did that is because if I ever upgrade my air system here in the shop, I can go to 1/2 inch lines or 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch connections. But right now I run 3/8. So I got these, and then I bought reducers that slide right inside that take it from that to the 3/8 inch line that you'd need. So boom, there's my end fitting. Now here's the kicker. This was $10. This was $3. So that's $13 every drop. I have 3 drops. So that's 30, 35 bucks, well, give or take. So $10 for this, $3 for that, so $13 a piece. Let's round it to 15, so $45 in fittings. Where am I at now? Now I'm at 100 for the Plex, $50 in fittings, $50 for the lines. I'm at $200. I ain't done yet. Is this a good system for your garage? If you have a full-on shop where you need air supply, this is the best system I've ever seen put together. Hands down, these guys know what they're doing. They've been doing it for years. It is a very costly system, but if you're running a really nice shop, you want this. These are 1-inch lines. You don't think about it when you're bidding on it. Oh my God, it's like all this airline. But yeah, 1-inch line's a big line, especially for a small home shop. Me, I run a little bit more than your normal home shop, so I wanted drops, I wanted all kinds of stuff in here, so I was running a little bit different. That I want a line outside, so I was going to run the aluminum pipe outside and then put an air chuck out there so that I could get to it either in the storage area or out in the driveway. And then I was thinking about it. It's like, well, there's the introduction of water from the air compressor. And yeah, I have filters and everything, but if you're not running a dryer, you're going to get water in it. So if I ran a line outside during the winter, I would have to shut that line down because it would freeze and possibly break my airline. So once again, that's the next issue. So I decided I'm just going to run that side of the pipe because I've run it from here up and over the middle of the garage and dropped down. And I went to the right and to the left. Now to the right, it's going to run. I've got enough, like I said, I've got 20-foot sections of this stuff. I've cut them all to 10 in order to transport them. But I can run a line all the way to the edge of the garage inside where it's heated and air conditioned. So I don't have to worry about freezing. I have a 100-foot hose right here that is more in the way when you're trying to do things than anything. Anybody who has a $100 hanging hose, you know what I'm talking about. Things great when you need it. When you got to go out, I can run all the way out to the street with this thing. And like if I've got a car at the end of the driveway that's got a flat tire or a low tire, I can fill it from here. So I'm going to hang that one over there in the corner because we very rarely use them outside. So I'll have that hanging there in the corner for outside. Inside, I've got a drop. I'm up near my workbenches, so I'll be able to run a small line back and forth to those. And then I've got a drop in the center of the garage that drops down in a springy type, this type. And I can do what I need to do inside the shop. And right where the Nova's at, I need air, and I don't want to have to drag a hose across. I can just pop up and clip into it, and I'm good to go. So for me, it made sense. Would I do this again if I had the opportunity? There's an old saying that I always say, if I haven't done it twice, I haven't learned. Because I'm committed to this and I've already got all the fittings and everything, I'm committed, so I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing. But for you in your normal home shop, you don't need all this. This is overkill. My hope is that I can sell the rest of that Prevost pipe and try to recoup $50, at least what I paid for the fittings. I know I'm not going to be able to recoup the $100 extra that I've spent, $150 extra that I've spent in all the things that I needed to make this a complete system. Like I said, I lucked out on a lot. Yeah, did I buy all these adapters? I had to buy. They're $10 a piece. I needed 3 of them because they had the steel ones in there, and we all know steel bad, brass good, or copper. Take your pick. So I had to replace all of these to make it right. When I initiated the pressure in the line, soap bubbles were coming out of these things, very, very slowly, but soap bubbles were coming out. So that tells me that whoever was using these, they've had a leak forever. It's really hard to seal the steel, especially when it starts getting rusty and that type of thing. I mean, I could have probably used some pipe dope or something and made them work, but you don't want to introduce steel into your air system. It's just not a good idea. You'll mess it up. So again, I've replaced it with brass. So all I'm doing right now is I've gotten the main line comes from through the dryers and everything, or not the dryers, but the water separators, and it comes out to my main line right here. And there's 3 lines here that I can use in this area. And then I put a ball cock on this line, and I used a flexible line because it's just easier to deal with. And it's piped into again, I replaced this with brass because this was steel and immediately began to leak. Evidently, they never checked their line. So I used a spray bottle with soap and water, and I sprayed it, and good to go there. Sorry about that. I had a commercial break. So what I've done is I put a ball cock in, and that way I can shut off the whole entire system and just run from here. So I have a shut off here, and then I shut off on the other side that shuts off the compressor completely, along with, of course, turning off the compressor. I have the 3 outlets right here that I've always had. The ball cock, and I'm using a flex line just because it's the easiest way to do it without hard wiring everything or hard piping everything in. It just makes a nice flexible joint. I don't have to worry about vibration or anything of that nature moving through the whole entire system. So I've got the brass one here along with the adapter. Actually, this one didn't need an adapter because it is 1/2 inch into 1/2 inch. So it was perfect. I did have to get the 3/4 reducer. So again, there's $10. This line here is a DeWalt line, so it's a good quality line. I don't have to worry about it. But the ball cock probably cost me $8 or something. But along the lines of everything, I'm in it $200, $250. So for a small shop, home shop, this is too much. This is more than you'll ever need. This system, I'll be able to upgrade my air compressor because I've got 1-inch line. So I can definitely run up my air conditioner air compressor. I'll get it right because it's really nice aluminum 1-inch pipe. It's good for 180 psi, 13 bar, which is more than my air compressor can put out. And if it's regulated, most air compressors you don't need more than 180, consistent anyway. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and finish up putting this thing together, and then I'll kind of walk you through everything that's done and how it's working and all that kind of fun stuff. Definitely, like I said, if you're putting it in your home garage and it's only you running one air tool, you really don't need this. This is a bit of overkill, and like I said, I'm hoping I can recap on the piping. And one of the cool things about this piping is I was always considering putting in a fire system. This pipe, because it's aluminum, I could use it. I would just take it outside, paint it red, so that it designates itself as fire as opposed to the air. So I could have a line running right down the center and over to put in a couple of the sprinkler heads, and I wouldn't have to worry about my garage, which is one of my biggest fears in the world, as it is with everybody who has collector cars. Is fire is bad. So I can use the pipe for something else down the road. I could even use it for conduit if I wanted to, because it's 1-inch, and I could run, because I've got to run out in my sheds. I need to run line through there, so I got 1-inch conduit that I can use over there. So in time, this pipe will benefit me because I can use the rest of it. Like I said, it was 20-foot chunks. I cut them down to 10, and if you really want to see what this stuff costs, go look up how much a 1-inch, 20-foot piece of Prevost pipe is, and you'll see why this stuff it's a little on the pricey side for the home guy, I should say. Not for your home shop. Yeah, you don't need this. Amazon's got these, and or Home Depot, Lowe's, all the manufacturers have them. Harbor Freight. $200 would buy you a really nice system with everything that you need to put it together. You wouldn't have to do like I'm doing and piecemealing everything and trying to get this thing working right. So for you at the home, this isn't a good system. Don't do it. If I had it to do it over again, because it appears that every time I do something, I have to do it twice to learn, I wouldn't do it. I would run just a regular system through here, mainly because we're all moving to electric tools, the battery operated tools as opposed to air. It is good to have air. There's no doubt about it. Like I said, I'm going to run an airline. I've got a 100-foot airline that I can run, hang on the end of the garage over there by my welding area, and I can run all the way out to the street with 100-foot of line, or over into the storage area, or wherever I need to run air. I could run that hose, and it's convenient for me. Convenience for you, not so much. Like I said, if this is something you don't want to do, if you've got just your shop with your 2-car garage, this is overkill. And for me, it is overkill. Now, the nice thing I have with this is I can upgrade. So I can add an air dryer. I can add a bigger compressor. I can add. But again, will I be adding? Probably not, because everything's moving to battery operated. I love my battery operated saw. I love my battery operated drill, my impact, all that stuff. I love that stuff. It is so handy, and you aren't dragging that airline around with you. But when it comes to sanding and all that kind of thing, you got to have air, because your battery powered sander, while it'll last, you won't be able to sand a whole car with it. That's for sure. Maybe you can. I don't know. I haven't seen one yet. There might be one out there that does, but as far as I know, just using a drill, it runs down the batteries pretty quick. Might be a better commercial brand that does offer that kind of stuff, but for me, this air system, overkill. For you, this would be overkill. If you have a full-on shop and you have multiple mechanics, this is the system to have, because it is really easy to deal with. You can change, it has splicers. So like say, I need to put a drop line here or put a line along this wall. All you have to do is they make the manifolds, and you can put the manifold right in, and it will pierce the line, and boom, you've got air there. So, there's a lot of advantages to it. They have a manifold at the end with 6 connectors, I think up to 6 connectors at the end. So for your full-on shop, this is a really nice system, and it's really well built. If you buy their entire product, I've seen some systems that, as I was learning how to put this in, I've seen some systems that are really complex and really cool. Like they have one that they use at the body shop. At a body shop, they have their regular main line, then they've got air dryers in it, and when it's going to the paint booth, it has a high-end air dryer. So you can add components to this line as opposed to the other types where if it's copper, you're going to have to cut into it and all that kind of fun stuff. So for a shop, for your big shop, this is a good system. It really is a nice system. A little on the pricey side, but based on what I'm seeing, it's really good. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back through. I'm going to finish hooking everything up. Once I've got everything hooked up, unless, I don't think you want to watch me put fittings on anymore. That's definitely getting old. But after it's done, I'll walk you through everything that I have finished and show you what I've got done and show you how it's all set up. And I'll see you in for you, it'll be a couple of seconds. For me, probably about an hour and a half. So I'll see you then. So I've got the line pressurized, and I only hear one leak. It's holding pressure up to got it at about 80 pounds right now. Compressor shut off because I want to hear everything leak. I'm hearing a leak up in this area somewhere, so I want to address that. If I block your view, sorry about that. Again, here's one of those steel couplers they had. Rust all in here. I mean, just this one's totally full of rust. That's not good. I have removed all my blocks because some of these were not edited. These have to be inserted directly square along with your cut, so you want to definitely make sure that they're all square. First thing I'm going to do is check my coupler, since it's the lowest point, and it just happens to be next to electricity. You get a little bit of bubbling right here. Nothing up here, that's a good sign. So this is going to have to be tightened on these two. So let me grab my wrench. And with the soapy water, it's easy to tell where your leaks are. So perfect. That one's done. Nope, that's fully tight. So we're going to have to shut the air down and pull this one apart, lube up the O-ring, make sure everything's all copacetic, and we should be good then.
A few moments later.
So on this side of the garage, I was going to terminate here in front of the other workbench, but instead I'm going to go ahead and put in the longest section of pipe I've got to run from here all the way down to that side of the garage. If I need air here in this area, I have an air chuck that's located right on the other side of that tool, right in this area here. There's an air chuck right there, so this is easy to access to that air chuck. And this is the one here that I need to run all the way to the end of the garage over here, and that'll make it so that it's easier to use. So what you missed is while I was undoing this, the line was pressurized and this sucker shot clear over there. That had to hunt down the seal to find it, but we got it back now, so we can put this larger piece of pipe in. And there's a couple places I'm going to brace it so that because this is a very long piece of pipe, probably about a 12-footer. That'll take us far enough down in the garage. Hit a dead end, so I can go move some stuff. Figure out where I'm blocking. So it's going to put it right in this area. There's another outlet right here, so I'll have an outlet and an air line right in the same spot. So that'll make it real nice. So before I tighten it up, bumped into something. So I need to raise this up so that it is level, and I'll put in a bracket here, and then I'll go to the other end and put a bracket there. I'll probably put one in the center if it's needed, but yeah, we need to get this level. Kind of to hold it so that we're level down on this end. And again, I'm not going to tighten this because I still have some connectors to put in, but I want it to be able to hold it and hold it level. And then what I'll do is I'll find a stud to screw it into. Right here is not going to work. But there's a stud right there, so that means the next one's right over here underneath this window. So we're close enough, but let's get the other end put together first before we start attacking this side. Let's make sure we get everything nicely assembled. That way we can make sure we've got everything right. Sudden it twisted. What it is this end is twisting. So we need to make sure that we're perfectly straight here. We haven't gummed up the threads so bad, but we want to make sure that we're definitely square with our pipe. Alrighty, now let's bring our level back and let's level in this area. We'll put a brace. There's a 2x4 right there. I do want to put one over here also on the leading end so that we've got nice even up brakes. I do need to put one behind that blasting cabinet, but I'll worry about that later. I'm not going to tighten any of these up until I've got it pressurized and I know there's no leaks, because we may need to clean or do something. So I'm leaving all the clamps loose. The middle one's tight, that's fine. I can loosen that one up, but the rest of them I'm leaving loose because I still need to put the end on this, and I want to make sure that end doesn't leak. So let's go get that end and let's finish this job. So now it's not pipe anymore. Now it's conduit. Now the nice thing is our end is all tight and ready to go. So now we're going to pressurize the system. Make sure we don't have any leaks down this way. We should be good. So the first thing we're going to check is the first one that we did. That was the one I was worried about. It's good. Make sure that other one didn't come loose. And the next thing we need to do is check the other end. Hold on a minute. Let me grab you and I'll bring it away. There's some leak there. No leaks on this end. So this needs to be just a tiny bit tighter. So yeah, we do have a good sized leak here. So we're going to pull this apart. We're going to reseal all of this inside. That way we know we're fixed. So let me unpressurize the line. There you go. One mistake I made, it's holding pretty good pressure, leaking, was I did not clean this end of the pipe. So let's get our gasket back off of there. We're going to lube it up before we put it in. So let's set that aside for now. Let's clean this pipe up. You'll also notice I did put a water separator down here on this end too. You don't want to put a bracket here or something, because I really want this to be a little bit more stable. I'll probably bring this over here. There's a 2x4s on this side right underneath this. I should get the bracket. So there's a bracket for these, so I can get a bracket, put it on here, and then screw it here, and that'll give me a nice stable place here. So let's fire it up and see if we get a leak. Our leak is gone. So we have a system and it is done. This is all set, and like I said, I want to put a bracket, the bracket on this. So I'll be changing this out later, putting the bracket on it, and then mounting it to this. But it'll give me a water drop at the very end, and I don't have to worry about water building up. So with that, like, share, subscribe. If you have any questions on this system, definitely let me know, and I will see you in the next video.